Hey guys, Andy McCann with CrossFit Garage, where intensity is king and routine is your enemy. This is the second time I'm making this video because apparently I talked way too long. So I'm going to cruise through this puppy a little bit faster and hopefully make the time cut off. Here are the workouts, and then I'll go back through them more in depth. So again, we have a lot of lifting coming up. If you remember Josh's CrossFit Pyramid, then you'll know that this portion is the lifting side of it. So focus on your lifts, especially in the back squat. Focus on this range of motion. Make sure you're going deep enough. It's very important that your range of motion is on, because the heavier you get, the less you'll want to have a good range of motion. So range of motion is key for the actual real number in that lift. So be very conscious about what you're lifting. Notice also, like today's is 1 by 1, and some of them are still 1 by 3s. Then we have a Metcon. It's an AMRAP, as many rounds as possible in 15 minutes. Classic triplet with some running. I love it. Of course, it might be raining, so rowing might be happening instead. In these longer workouts, 15 minutes is a long workout when you talk about intensity, especially anaerobic capacity. And what you want to do in here, instead of measuring power with one instantaneous lift, jump, or movement, so power is measured as work divided by time. So in this case, work for like this box jump would be weight times distance. So your body jumped up and over, so draw out the arc and figure out the distance. And or I guess you could just kind of do up and down over the box, so 24 or 20 inches. Divided by the time, or 15 minutes, or in this case instantaneous, so 1 second that it takes you to get over, and you can create an instantaneous power. But in a longer workout, what you're trying to do, and we'll see this on Saturday with Murph, is find an intensity level that you can do that has the highest intensity over time. So you definitely will go slower than any one cycle through this, because you have to get through 15 minutes of this. So there's no way you could go, like if you did this, just do this once as fast as you possibly can, that'll never happen inside of this 15-minute AMRAP, because you've got to have leftover reserve. So this is part of learning yourself and getting the most out of CrossFit, is figuring out where that intensity curve is for you. There's a whole lot of other things that you can build upon, like when you rest, how well are you resting? So are you breathing and taking great advantage of it? Are you doing active rest, and so forth? All right, I'm going to blow this time again. So here we go. Bench press, read the notes. And then we have a couplet. On the shoulder press, be very careful about stopping the max count when you start push pressing. So a failure in a shoulder press for almost all of us is going to result in a push press, and what it looks like is your toes or your calves doing some work to help jerk the bar or push press the bar up. So just be careful of that one. Another Metcon with a triplet. The RX side of this actually would be easier for me, the rope climbs versus the man makers. Be careful on this man makers. It is deceptive. They are really tough. 35-pound man maker at this reps would do me in pretty significantly. So be smart. It's not about clicking RX. It's about increasing your intensity and figuring out where you have a lack, or in this case, kind of like a goat. It's not so much a goat. It's just, hey, for me, 35 pounds on a man maker is just too heavy. So I would probably drop it down to 15 pounds so I can make these numbers and keep going with any amount of intensity. Next day, this is a cool workout that some of you are going to look at and go, what? It's just lifting? So actually, Donovan Conrad is a great example of how Olympic lifting creates such power that 2 years into Olympic lifting, or 2.5, 3 years into it, he's still able to capture by a second or a pound or one rep some of the numbers that he did in other workouts. So did it improve him a lot? Well, no, but he's still improving, right? So improvement over any type is improvement, but his numbers, his actual lifts have gone up dramatically, and his form is awesome. Thank you, Coach Ashe. So take these seriously. There's a lot of coaching that'll go on in these, and when you get to the snatch, he's got snatch. Some of you are going to want a power snatch, so talk to your coach about what you can do. It's supposed to be a squat snatch, but I'm going to let you and your coach decide where you're at. As a matter of fact, I'm going to add squat snatch into this. So the debate is real, and CrossFit does not make it any easier. Snatch, does it snatch, which we've got a reference number for that. So when you do this, just plug in your numbers here to help change your percents. But also there is the power snatch, which is basically any sort of bend that's not a squat or that's not no bend, which would be a muscle snatch. And then squat snatch, which is we all love, which would be your hip creases below your knees. And they're all in there so that whatever you do, you can pop your number in. I would still, if you do power snatch and you're typically writing those numbers there, go ahead and put it in. If you're doing squat snatch, putting the numbers in here too, then just do both. If you've got a way that you figured it out, hey, this is squat snatch and snatch is squat snatch, that's what I do, then cool, keep it there. So just be consistent with your own naming and what you're doing. This should be actually a pretty tough workout. The power output on these is going to be incredibly high, that work divided by time. Back to the deadlift. I think last week it was deadlift bench press, so deadlift shoulder press. Again, watch your shoulder press. You're going to want to fail with a push press or push jerk or calf raise press, so be careful there. On the deadlift, take this serious and slow. Don't just crank out the numbers. There should be plenty of rest between this. And I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 ways, and I think both are valid, although I'm sure if you talk to a guru, they're going to say one's better than the other. I've tried them both, and I like them both. So 2 ways to stabilize your core. And I'm not a belt guy, so you could use a belt, but I think it's giving you false support. So you need better midline stability. It's better to not lift heavier than your midline can control. In order to not lift that, just don't use a belt. So, but I'll admit, putting on a belt gives you like 10 to 15 pounds. So what you can do is start from squeezing like you would in when they talk about a Kegel. So you squeeze kind of down low, and then you bring that squeeze up inside until it gets into your chest. So you're squeezing from the inside and then up. The other way to do it is to squeeze your stomach down and then kind of have an open cage, open chest, and then do like a mini crunch. So your ribs, like if you can tuck your finger under your rib, you squeeze down like a miniature crunch and it pops your finger out. So that way you're pressing out into your rib cage. So there's 2 different ways to stabilize. Try them both out. See which one you like. They're definitely, there's some lightheadedness in this, so just be careful on your lift. And then you've got some accessory work and Philly presses explained right down here. Murph, I think I blew my time on the last one, and then Murph, I talked for way too long. But Murph is a huge workout. The first time, I think it was one of the first workouts I did way back when with Justin Lebrecht, and I think it took us like 55, 60 minutes. So I'll start off by saying Murph and many other workouts are named either after fallen vets or something else like a hurricane or whatever, but named workouts like this one, Murph, are usually pretty aggressive and intense and killer. And this one for Lieutenant, let me see, I'm going to blow it now. Lieutenant Michael Murphy, there we go. And he used to do this, and he called it body armor. And it's supposed to be done wearing a weight vest. If you've never done this before, do not put a vest on. If you've never done this before, consider doing half Murph. This would be on Saturday if it's not raining. Well, even if it's raining, you can run. Also, if you want to do it strict, you would do 100, 200, 300. If you want to get used to those numbers, you can break it up in like a Cindy, so 5, 10, 15. Talk to your coach about what you want to do. Please don't overdo it. This is a big workout. And this is CrossFit, even though the time domain on it is so long. CrossFit is cross broad domains, so you know the time frames could be short, like a Fran, a 2.5-minute Fran, and which would leave you like puddled on the floor and disgust and nasty, or this 45 minutes with maybe 50 minutes with a weight vest on, and is going to leave you burnt and toasted as well. So we want both ends or cross trained, right? But CrossFit's wheelhouse is in those intense workouts that lie between 8 minutes and 12 minutes. Let's see. I think I talked about Murph here. Yeah, so I'm not going to blow my time this time. I'll stop there.